road's still there, so that's good. So this farm over here on the left was my best friend's family's farm, and this is where I kind of grew up for a lot of my childhood, where I hung out on the farm doing chores, playing with their pony and horses, cows, dogs, everything. I wonder if lives here. I bet he does. My goodness, look at all the stuff now. Holy moly.
Turned into a junkyard.
Yes, it did. Wow.
Are folks around still?
Wow. And then this is the 40-acre plot that they own, and it goes back into the woods. And then right over here are some apple and pear trees. I think there was 2 apple and a Bartlett pear. They were like a Jonathan, Michigan type apple and a Bartlett pear, and they were absolutely the best pears ever. And the neighbors right here next door have this little piece of property. And this field used to be a big hay field. Oops, let me get over here because there's a car coming. Go around. The neighbors here, this used to be a big hay field. And what they would do 40 years ago is they had a couple horses and they had the hayfield, but they didn't have the equipment to do anything with the hayfield. So Frank, next door over here, would bring his equipment over with the kids and bale up their hay, put half of the hay up in their barn, and they gave the other half to them for doing the work. It's called crop sharing, and that's what they do out in the country. That's how things get done. People help each other out. I'm glad to see only the original house is here right now. That looks cool. So I'm always afraid all these fields are going to get just built up with all kinds of stuff. You ready to see the old house? I think they cut a bunch of the trees down from what I saw on Google Earth.
I thought the gardening's a little closer.
A mile away.
Oh, you heard Steve's old bullhorn a mile away.
So, oh, look at that tree they planted. Wow. Anyway, this row of pine trees are what's left of the 1,000 pine trees that we planted. And they transplanted some of them back in the back. We didn't have that yellow tree that was planted afterwards. Yep, your birch trees are still there. Mom, they moved your rock up front. Okay, that rock with the big C on it, actually on the other side of it, it looks like a baby triceratops that has been turned to stone. I'm kind of sad that they turned it the other way, but that big, huge rock, Mom, you should go stand by that rock because you took a lot of effort digging that thing out of the ground. It was like 10 inches of that stone showing from the top of the ground. Remember that? And then you started digging it out and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then Steve had to get the tractor to get that thing out.
Yeah.
But it was just a stone because we had to, this was a nothing.
I was big into China.
Yeah, those, they transplanted those over there too. There used to be a cherry tree over there. I don't know if it still is or not. Oh, it looked, maybe, unless it's really tall. It looks like they got some maples going down the driveway now.
Yeah. That's where I used to have my strawberry patch.
But this entire side from the driveway all the way over to where the trees end, there was 1,000 pine trees, 100 of 10 different kinds.
You know, they filled that land in too because that used to flood every year.
Yeah, and it did. It used to dip down right across, kind of 2/3 of the way up there, right about where that wood pile is.
Yeah.
Is you can kind of see it dips down a little bit, and then it goes up to where that pine tree is to the right of it.
Yeah, 'cause the
And
house was on a hill.
that's where Samantha, our Pomeranian,
I know
drowned.
what. The house was on a hill.
The house was on a hill. It's still a little bit of it on a hill, and it looks like they turned the garage back into a garage.
Mm-hmm.
Because we turned the garage into a living room at one point.
Yep.
And on that porch is where I would smash rocks. So.
Wilson's.
Yep. Yeah, when we were down at the creek and we'd hear Steve blow the air horn, sometimes Kirsten would hear it. And I'd listen for it, and I'm like, well, I'll pay attention, and if it's him, he'll blow it again. And sure enough, about 10 minutes later, he'd blow it again. So I knew it was time to head back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 2 miles away, not 2.5 or 3. So yeah, 2 miles from the creek to the house. Yeah, before cell phones and things like that. Yeah, when your kid's out there somewhere,
You know,
you gotta have some way to say, hey.
supposed to be down at the Garkeys.
I was at the Garkeys for a minute, and then we'd head down to the creek.
Okay.
Or out in the woods.
Yeah. That's
Or
all
we
right.
ride horses along the countryside.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that.
We were fine.
You were playing with the Garkey girls. Yeah.
Did not need the supervision that apparently a lot of parents feel their children need these days, and maybe they do, but it's what I love about the country. Just roam all day and be left alone.
You were allowed to be curious, so just be careful. Yep. I grew up that way.
Well, and everybody knew everybody, and even if they didn't like them, they at least knew who lived where. So if somebody was broken down on the side of the road or something, you could go to any house and you pretty much know. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, anybody would
Whether
help
they
you.
liked you or not, they would help. They are, yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it was.
In the city, people just drive by, and you're just stuck. Now we're also going to go by the old farm that belonged to, I think, one of the Davison side of the family. Uncle Byron. Remember they had pigs, they had hogs.
Yeah.
They lived right up here
So I think
on the corner where this turns to go into Charlotte. When Cochrane comes to a T, there was a big farm there on the left, and that's where they lived. They had the
his
hogs.
cousins were out on Bower Road in Eagle, is what I was thinking. Yeah, Byron, yes.
He was older. They were older. But that was the first time, my experience with ever seeing the big commercial type hogs. Not the smaller homestead hogs.
Big, but yeah.
They were big. They were as big as I was. not there when I was younger. That is a beautiful place. I really like that.
They even got big barns.
Yeah, I
back
think
there.
they have horses. That's like a horse setup with the run-ins.